So this happened to my friend Jake back when we were both in high school in this small town in Ohio. I still think about it sometimes. Jake lived out past the edge of town, one of those houses where your closest neighbor is like a 5-minute drive away. Behind his backyard, there was this old cornfield that hadn't been planted in years, just dead stalks and weeds, and beyond that, woods. His parents worked night shifts a lot, so he was home alone more than most kids our age. One night in October, he texted me around 11 saying the power had gone out. Not a big deal, that happened a lot out there. Storms would knock lines down. He said he was going to sit by his window with a flashlight until it came back. About 20 minutes later, he texts me again, and he says there's someone standing at the edge of the cornfield. Just standing there. He figured it was probably a neighbor, maybe somebody's dog got out and they were looking for it. He watched for a while, and the person didn't move, not even a little. He said it was too dark to see a face, just a shape, kind of tall, just standing at the tree line, facing the house. He started getting freaked out, so he texted his older brother who was away at college, and his brother just said, "Lock the doors, I'll call you back." Around midnight, the power still hadn't come back, and Jake said he heard something outside, close to the house, like footsteps in the gravel by the garage. He didn't look. He just sat on his bed with the flashlight off, waiting. He said it felt like it lasted forever, but he thinks it was maybe 10 minutes before it just stopped. Power came back around 1 in the morning. He looked outside and the field was empty, nobody there. He didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, he walked out to where the person had been standing, just to see if there were footprints or something, proof he wasn't losing his mind. He said the ground was flattened in this one spot, like someone had been standing there a long time, but there weren't any footprints leading up to it or away from it. Like whoever it was had just been there, and then wasn't. He told his parents, and they didn't really believe him, figured he'd scared himself imagining shapes in the dark. Maybe he did, but Jake still won't sit near that window with the lights off, even now. And every October, when the power flickers, he says he thinks about that field, and whether whatever was standing there is still out in those woods somewhere, waiting for the lights to go out again. It was a normal Saturday, nothing special about it. My dad and I went to Target to grab some school supplies since classes were starting back up in like a week. The store was pretty busy, people everywhere with carts, kids running around. I told my dad I wanted to go check out the toy aisle real quick, and he was like, "Fine, just don't wander off too far." So I'm walking around, not really paying attention to anybody, just looking at stuff on the shelves. And then I noticed this guy standing at the end of the aisle. He's got this long gray coat on, which was weird because it was like 80 degrees outside. And he's just standing there, not looking at anything, not shopping, just kind of facing my direction. Honestly, at first, I didn't think anything of it. People just stand around in stores sometimes, right? But then I look up again a minute later, and he's still there. Same spot, still facing me. His hands are shoved in his coat pockets, and he's got this blank look on his face, like he's not even really looking at me, but also like he's staring straight through me at the same time, if that makes sense. I got this weird chill, and I was like, okay, I'm being paranoid, and I just walked over to the next aisle. I look back before I turn the corner, and he's moved. He's at the end of that aisle now too, closer, same exact blank stare. And my stomach just dropped. I didn't have my phone. My dad was holding it for me, so I couldn't call him or anything. I just started walking faster, cutting through aisles, trying to put some distance between us, but not full-on running because I didn't want to look insane if it turned out to be nothing. I ended up ducking into the clothes section, thinking I could kind of lose him in the racks. I crouched down a little and peeked through the hangers to see if he'd followed me. For a second, I didn't see him anywhere, and I was like, okay, maybe I made this whole thing up in my head. And then I felt a hand on my shoulder. I about screamed. I spun around so fast I almost knocked the whole rack over. But it was just my dad. He'd been looking for me for a few minutes and finally found me crouched down in the middle of the clothing racks, looking like I'd seen a ghost. He asked what was wrong, and I tried to get it out. The coat, the staring, the way this guy kept showing up wherever I went. And my dad, he didn't just brush it off like I thought he would. He grabbed my hand and we walked around looking for the guy together. But he was gone. Like completely gone. Not in any aisle, not by the doors, nothing. We checked out pretty fast after that. I kept looking over my shoulder the entire time, and even walking to the car in the parking lot, I swear I still felt like someone was watching us. Nothing else happened that day, honestly. We went home, had dinner, everything went back to normal. But now, if I'm in a store and I see someone standing a little too still at the end of an aisle, my whole body just tenses up. I still think about that blank stare sometimes, the way it felt like he already knew which way I was going to turn before I even turned. A long pause. I never saw him again after that day, but I definitely never forgot him. My name is Priya, and I'm from Texas. This happened back in March, and honestly, I still think about it more than I'd like to admit. I live in a small 2-bedroom apartment, ground floor, with my 7-year-old son, Micah. It's just the two of us. My husband passed away a few years back, so I've always been kind of extra careful about safety. Extra locks, a security light outside, all that. So it was a Tuesday night, around 3 a.m. I remember because I actually looked at the clock right before everything went down. I'm normally a really deep sleeper, but that night I just woke up out of nowhere. Like this heavy, wrong feeling in my chest. I laid there for a second, just listening, and that's when I heard it. This soft shuffling sound coming from the hallway, right outside my bedroom door. At first, I was like, okay, it's probably just the apartment settling, or maybe the neighbor's cat got in again. That happened once before. But then I heard it again, and it was closer this time, and I realized, no, that's not an animal. That's footsteps. Slow, careful footsteps, like someone was trying really hard not to be heard. And that's when my stomach just dropped, because Micah's room is right next to mine, and his door doesn't even lock from the inside. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand as quiet as I possibly could and started dialing 911. Brightness turned all the way down so the screen light wouldn't give me away. And before the call even connected, I heard his door creak open. I didn't even think at that point, I just moved. I ran out into the hallway screaming, and there's a man standing right at Micah's door, his hand still on the handle. He turns around and we just kind of lock eyes for a second. Dark clothes, hood up, and this look on his face like he genuinely did not expect anyone to wake up. I kept screaming and grabbed the first thing I could reach, which was this lamp on the hallway table, and I just chucked it at him. He ducked and it shattered against the wall. And then I hear Micah start crying from inside his room, and hearing that just gave me this insane surge of adrenaline. I lunged at the guy, wasn't even thinking about what would happen if he fought back. I just needed him away from that door. He shoved me into the wall hard and took off running through the living room and out the backsliding door, which I could have sworn I locked. I ran chasing him as far as the patio, screaming for somebody, anybody to hear me. But the whole complex just stayed dark, silent. Nobody even turned on a porch light. I ran back inside and grabbed Micah, who was sobbing and shaking so bad, and we just sat on the kitchen floor together until the cops finally showed up like 15 minutes later. They checked everything and found out the sliding door lock had been tampered with. Something thin slid between the frame to pop it open from the outside. So I hadn't forgotten to lock it after all.